Hey guys, my name is Jason with Non-Baker Mining and Metals. And on today's video, I got Dan Hurd coming back down. We're going to run a sample of his through the jaw crusher, hammer mill, and shaker table. And we're going to smelt it down to see how much gold he has in his ore. And it's really cold degrees outside right now, pouring down rain. So hopefully this video turns out. We're going to give it a shot and see how it goes. Oh, Dan is back. Dan is here in the rain. It's raining and really cold. What do we got here today, Dan? What's our plan?
Well, I got five bags of ore. Two of them come from a site that I'm really interested in sort of prospecting to see if it has gold content. My hopes aren't too high for it, but if there's gold, that's awesome. And then I bought 3 bags of what should be more fun, exciting stuff with lots of free milled gold, really stinky, really ugly. Jason will probably never invite me back down after he's run it. It's terrible stuff, but it has lots of gold in it.
Cool. Well, yeah, you want to start with the first one that you're kind of prospecting?
Absolutely.
And then we'll try that one, and then we'll get the really fun, exciting, high-grade stuff going.
Perfect. Can you turn off the rain?
Yeah, let me just, hold on, let me flip the switch. And as shown on our other videos, we're going to start here with the jaw crusher. It'll crush the ore down to about 1/2 inch minus. Once it's crushed down in this black pan here, we're going to transfer it over into the hammer mill. It's going to run down through the hammer mill, get crushed to a powder, run onto the shaker table, where the gold and other heavy minerals will come across into the number 1 and number 2. I got to get a couple buckets there for those. So that is our plan today. Hopefully we don't drown in the rain here, and hopefully we see some gold. Oh, what are we working on here? This is the prospected sample.
This is the stuff that I'm really interested in, hoping for some gold in. If we do well on this stuff, we have plans to turn this into another big deal with another big mining company.
Okay, like you're doing with Midway.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So right now, we don't know. If it shows good gold, we start the process of developing it into something.
Yeah, okay. And I saw your recent video on the Midway mine.
Yep.
And you had a geo there, and it sounded to me like the samples that we took and the results that we got were kind of in line with what they were getting. Is that more or less true?
Both groups, like we're making that big deal with the big mining company, both groups did assays, if you will, of the material before they sort of went into the deal. And yeah, both of our assays came out kind of way higher than we expected for the site.
Yeah.
And we were really in line with each other.
Yeah.
And they're very happy. I made a great deal with Grizzly Discoveries. I'm very happy. And yeah, that's why we do this prospecting.
That's right. And sampling is important. And I'm glad to hear that the system kind of got numbers that were real world numbers and good recoveries.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's do it again.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's a good looking one.
Yummy.
Throw her in. Well, we finished up with the run, that first run, and I'm going to brush down the table. Sometimes there's some heavy values that get stuck here in these top 3 or 4 grooves. So I brush it all out here across to the cleaning plane is what it's called. And then we'll see, sometimes the gold gets hung up and we'll see if there's any gold here. This is usually where you can get a good showing if there's any gold. Dan's saying he would be surprised if we see any visible stuff.
I hope there is.
He hopes so.
That would be a very nice surprise if there was.
Yeah. And the water's dirty and it's raining and
no sunlight. Sunlight makes so much. What a big difference sunlight makes for seeing gold.
Absolutely. I don't see any. Dan, you see any?
I don't. I see some metallics coming down right at the top edge. But, you know, that could even just be, you know, parts of the hammer wearing off or something like
right.
that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, don't look yellow.
Yeah, no. We'll get it brushed down into the cons and get it smelted, and that'll really tell us the value. All right, we've got our crucible in the furnace there. It's heating up. And I missed the flux mix up on that one. But check out Dan's video, he's doing one today as well. Get a little more detail on the shots that I can't get while I'm working. So we'll let that get going, get it poured, and see what comes out of it.
There we are. The pour is done. We got some great little convection currents going on inside as it cools off. And let's hope there's some gold at the bottom of that. Any kind of visible bead I'll be happy with on this smelt.
Well, we're just finishing off with our pour there. There should be a little lead prill in the bottom of that cone. So when that cools off, we'll flip it over, take that lead, Q-Pel the lead away, and hopefully we have a precious metal bead for Dan. Well, that's cooled down. It's now about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's about 150 degrees Celsius, well below the melting point of lead. So we're going to flip that over and get our little lead prill and put it in the furnace. Here's our little lead prill. We will put it
in a very hot Q-Pel.
Yeah. There we go. So that will start melting, oxidize the lead. The lead doesn't actually burn off in the atmosphere. It absorbs into that little Q-Pel, that little cup in there, and precious metals can't oxidize, and so they're left behind as a little bead.
Yeah, what he said. Okay, Jason. Basically any kind of bead and I'm happy with here.
Okay, so if we got any bead in here, you're going to be happy.
Means we have some gold.
We got something going on. What do we have? Hey, we got a little bead.
We got a bead.
We got a bead.
Not a huge bead, but it's a bead. Ooh.
Nice.
Nice blink, too. Oh,
yeah.
This camera wouldn't have got it, though.
So that is, yeah, that's a pretty nice little bead. We'll let that cool down a little bit, and then we'll weigh it. We filmed Dan filming his bead.
Not a bad little bead in that cupel. There's my gold. And camera number 3.
Okay, got it broke loose here. There's our bead. I'm going to cool it off in some water. Hold out your hand.
Oh, I get it in my hand?
Yeah, this is yours.
Oh, it's hot. No. There we are.
Kind of silvery color, huh?
Yeah, and there's obviously some silver content to it.
Yeah.
Not bright yellow.
Let's get out the fine scale and we'll weigh it. Okay.
And the bead from 100 kilograms of ore comes out to 0.12 grams.
And the beauty of the metric system, you multiply that by 10, because we did 1/10 of a ton.
Yep.
And there's 1.2 grams of precious metals from the rocks that we processed. So as we talked about earlier, this is just a sampling process. This isn't to make money. We weren't going to try and, pay off the fuel and our time with this bead. This is just to kind of prove the point that, yes, there are precious metals on Dan's claim that he's looking at. And he told me earlier that he went around and sampled from all over the claim, got rocks everywhere, down every different road. So this was just to prove that there were actually precious metals there, which we have done today. So now Dan is going to go and find some more and try and pinpoint where on his claim the precious metals are.
Okay, so we have 3 bags of ore to crush and process today, all from one mine site, but we're going to process them separately because one bag is full of the quartz from the vein, the other bag is full of the sulfides from the vein, and then the third bag is from a mine dump where everything was mixed together but has been left there for 100 years, all rotted down, rusted out, and it's just powder. And any gold that's in that will have been weathered out naturally. And we're going to run all 3 of those bags through Jason's machinery here and see how much gold we find.
Perfect. So how would you like to start? You want to run the rocks first and then the fines, or what's your call?
Let's run the quartz rocks first,
okay,
then the fines, and we'll do the sulfides last because they will be the nastiest one to run.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's have a look at the quartz you brought up here. It looks like real coarse grain stuff, big crystals. And you separated out the quartz. The idea is to figure out where the gold is.
Yes.
So you can kind of high grade if you had to.
That was my plan, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're just finishing up with the quartz sample. And there's actually quite a bit of sulfides in that. There's a pretty good band here. And there's some coming out these long grooves. Coming down into the #1 concentrates here. I haven't seen any free gold yet, but I haven't really looked that hard either. Yeah, there's a few pieces. There's a nice piece. Look at that piece coming across. Let's check down here. It's probably hard to tell, but there's quite a few pieces, I think, right in here. More pieces coming out. Yeah, there's some gold in there. Nice stuff. And there's a really nice gold line right here along in front of this sulfide band. Dan just took a really nice close-up shot of it, so check out his video for a real nice showing here. But it's gold all the way down there. We've seen some really nice big pieces work their way down the table. So I think you got some gold in this stuff, Dan.
I'm happy.
Here's the fine stuff we're running for Dan. This is all surface stuff that has been oxidized out and it's been screened down to 1/2 inch so we can run it right in the hammer mill. But look at how orange it is on the table. All those sulfides have oxidized and we're just getting a bunch of rust pouring out on the table. And here's our last run of the day. This is Dan's heavy sulfide stuff, and it is heavy. It's got some quartz on it, but on this sample, he tried to get some of those massive sulfides that he talked about earlier. And these are really, really heavy. So it will be interesting to see if this stuff holds any gold. We have the concentrates from the quartz and the fines, and now we're gonna have the sulfides, and I think Dan may give us a panning lesson, huh?
Something.
See if we can see the gold in each one of those and compare if you're gonna go high grade or prospect this, where you'd look for the gold.
Exactly.
Well, you can really smell it.
Sulfur. Sulfur coming out of it.
It really smells. It's just massive sulfides.
Let's get close up on that.
So this is the heavy sulfides, the last sample we're running. And I think there's a little gold line right at the leading edge of these sulfides here. We'll get Dan's close-up camera on it and see what we can see. I can't tell. Can you see?
I can't quite tell, but I think you're right. I think there's really fine gold at the top edge.
There you go.
The camera will pick it up better than my eyes will right now, so when we get it onto the computer, we'll be able, or onto the screen, we'll be able to see better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a line of gold there.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the number 1 and number 2 concentrates, and while Dan's here, we're just gonna do a quick swirl in the pan to see kind of visually how much gold each one has in the number 1. And then Dan will take the concentrates back to his place and he'll finish up his video with the final numbers and the sample and everything like that. We are miserable and we are wet and we are cold.
It out in my home where it's nice and warm.
Yeah. So be sure to check out Dan's channel for the full results of today's test. Well, Dan has the quartz sample. This is the number 1, and he's swirling that around. We're just going to take a quick look here, see what he has. But I think, if I remember, Dan, visually from the table, the quartz was the best looking stuff. Is that?
It was. And you know what? In this environment right here with this many sulfides, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it just with a quick swirl.
Okay.
I settled into the corner and just swirled the bottom, and I did basically, there's a bit. There, we're seeing some now.
There you go.
A few pieces kicking around in there.
Yep.
That's one right there too.
So you got some fine yellow up here too, huh?
Can you see that?
I think so.
Well, your eyes are better than mine. Oh yeah, I can now. There's a whole line of it.
Yeah.
There's a whole line of yellow at the top. And there's actually the gold washing out nicely right here, right now.
So there's some good stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need a better environment to do this at.
Yeah. Let's see what I can get out of this. So it's terrible lighting, but all the way across the top of the pan there is a nice little line of gold. Some fine stuff. There was some coarser stuff.
I had a bunch of coarse stuff in one spot there.
See if I
think it may have washed back down into the sulfides.
Do our little bounce here. I don't know, is that better? Well, if you can believe us, there's gold in there.
Jason, I will take some really nice shots of this when I get home and send it off to you to include in your video.
That'd be great. Yep. That would be great. Okay, well, there's gold. We got gold.
Hey, Jason. Here are the results from those 3 runs we did. This is the quartz sample. Here's the powdered sample. And here is the sulfides. As you can see, all 3 have pretty much the same amount in them. I have, pulled these aside. I'm going to smelt these at a later date. You've inspired me to get back into some small-scale smelting. So I'm going to go and take these and smelt them down into a bead. Because what I noticed is, especially on this sample, a lot of the sulfides still had gold attached to the sulfides when I looked under a loupe. So, time to go and smelt the gold out of those sulfides.
All right, well, that finishes up the video for us today. Dan, I want to thank you for coming down.
It was great fun. Thanks for having me down here.
You are welcome anytime. How did you think it went? Were you happy with the results?
Absolutely loved the gold bead we got at the end. The equipment runs so well. It is so much better than my little hobbyist stuff at home. Using actual industrial equipment is great. Awesome. Yeah. If you would like some of your own equipment, if you're in hard rock mining or just, you need something for whatever, check out Mount Baker's stuff. Its stuff is amazing. Its equipment is amazing.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again. You are welcome down anytime. And to the viewers at home, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.